they know me, but they not from my hood.
Yes, sir.
They know me, but they wish that they did.
Welcome
And
to
even all my
another
niggas
episode
asking-
of Steady Mobbin Podcast. Episode 5. I do not remember.
The number will be on there on the description when it's done.
We have a special guest in the building. This man is a hip hop pioneer. He's a rap artist. He's a producer. He is doing great things with the Remix Project. I don't know what that is, but it's for the youth them, so it's good. We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about it. He has worked with the likes of Drake, Redman, Socrates, Sunreal, everybody. Even Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick, release the track, please.
Damn.
The person I am talking about is a Mississauga legend. Make some noise for Rich Kid!
Thank you. I like that intro. Pioneer is crazy.
You are!
What pioneer in what sense?
In longevity and your
I
contribution.
pioneered longevity. Like
I mean, you've been in the game 16 years, right?
Yeah.
With Heat, too.
07?
I would say longer. But like the thing about it is like I look at pioneers as like the guys that are the beginning of shit. Like I look at Nishimi, I look at Maestro, Dream Warriors. Those guys are like the pioneer. Like, and just because I did the Juno shit this year, where I executive produced like the hip hop portion of performances.
Yes,
it's like I got more insight and more knowledge of who are the guys. Like I can't even say Shock Larry.
She can't hear from the headphone. So sorry.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I think pioneers, do they change like generationally? I would say so, right?
They are inter generational.
Yeah, and you were like one of the first names I heard about when it comes to the DVD era hip hop.
Okay.
Because I was doing Juice DVD.
Yeah.
And you were
legendary.
Yeah.
Big shout out for that.
Yeah. So like my introduction.
Big shout out.
Yes. And you were one of the guys, one of the producers I kept hearing about.
Yeah.
You know, it was you, Boy Wonder.
Yep.
Soundsmith.
Mega Man.
Yeah, it was a good
Tone
era.
Mason.
Tone
So
Mason,
like in my head, even though maybe technically I may be wrong.
You know what I would say? Pioneer in like bringing FL Studio to like the level where it's at now in terms of like Toronto rap, because I remember going to the studio and bringing my beats on FL Studio and they were like, were you making beats on a computer? Like some of them wanted me to like put it on a floppy disk and run it through the MPC just to make it an MPC beat. Like they didn't want to have computer beats or they wanted me to make it on a keyboard. So I would say me, Boy Wonder, we're like at the forefront of that.
Got it.
You know,
Got it.
I'd say pioneer of that. Like, because we was on FL version 2 and version 3.
But respectfully, nobody's gonna say that. You know, the pioneer of FL. You're a pioneer, damn it. Okay, that's what it is.
I'll take the flowers along with it.
And also, people used to hate on Fruit Loops back in the day. People used to hate on FL back in the day.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't respected. Like because it wasn't. Niggas weren't really making beats on computers. Back then, it was like I started in 2003 making beats. 2002, 2003, right? And then I probably made my break 2008, 2007.
Okay.
With like Frank and Dank and with Drake's earlier shit, Comeback Season. That's when my stuff started coming out, right?
Yeah. Black Mob. Because listen, I ain't trying to dominate this interview.
No,
okay?
it's no. You know what? I need you to dominate this one because
you didn't do your research. That's right.
No,
it's okay. I got this.
I can't believe you said that.
You gonna learn today.
You know, so
you gonna learn.
We will learn. No, I'm just looking at your mixtapes from like 2007 to 2013.
Yeah,
that's just like you're just going off, like just going off.
Yeah, I would release a mixtape. Like so, when I started, I released a mixtape I recorded at my boy Junior T's crib. It was called House Arrest. That was literally
shout out
Junior T. Shout out to him.
And that was my first foray into dropping a project. And then after that, I would drop a mixtape every year called We On Some Rich Kid Shit. And it would feature like all the productions I had done for like local talent, just all on one tape. Maybe stuff they released on their projects or stuff that was like hidden in my hard drives. And then as time went along, I would start getting bigger placements and I'd feature them on there. And this is before streaming. So, it was the download era, the blog era. So I was able to, take stuff from like Chaos's project and put it on my project or take stuff from Drake. You can't really do that as much now.
Yeah.
So The new one that I'm gonna come out with is all original music. But that was what I was doing. A mixtape every year, drop it close to Caravana, have a big party for it at like Revival, Great Hall, Mod Club, whatever, and just turn up, and just flood my shit through the streets. I used to go on Young Street during Caravana, Young Street on Friday.
Yeah.
It used to be the ting.
Yes, Friday
So
night.
I go there, I press up a whole bunch of CDs from my guy Murdoch, shout out Hustle and Flip, and I press up a whole bunch of CDs, and I go to everybody in the big whips just on the street and just give them the CD. I'm just like, yo, bump this right now. And they're like, yo, this you? I'm like, yeah. And that's how I guess I built my legend.
Oh, those were the good
in
old
streets,
days, man. Oh, my
The
God. When
mixtape
you had
era,
to
the
bring the
CD
hustle
era.
to the street, man.
Yeah.
Stickers on lampposts, going car
I'd
to
be out
car.
there with a boombox, bumping it because I have the iPod connected through aux through the fucking through the boombox, and I'd be at Dundas Square bumping that shit. They're like, "Yo, who's that?" I'm just like, "Me." CD out the back, here, take it. If you're American, you have to pay $5.
Facts.
Makes
Canadians
sense.
get it for free.
As you should.
Yeah.
I have a question though. How important was it for you because you said on your mixtapes you used to do local artists and things of that nature. Like a lot of people nowadays feel like if you don't have a certain amount of followers, if you don't have, a certain amount of views, that you don't matter. How important is it for like a DJ to actually give love back to?
Yeah. I feel like I'm from the era where, DJs, producers, like we broke artists. So I always wanted to like introduce a new audience or an audience to a new artist. I feel like I did that for Sunreal, right? Like Sunreal.
Shout out Sunreal.
Sunreal.
We want you on the podcast.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to make that happen.
Woo!
Sunreal is an artist that was mainly based in like the West Coast, Vancouver. He had a certain type of audience. And I feel like once we collaborated and I brought him here, if you go back, like it's not there. I'm gonna try to put all the old mixtapes online, but the first mixtape he's on there, and he sounds totally different. He sounds like a New York nigga.
Yep.
And when I actually first talked to him, he sounded like a New York nigga. He's like, yo, I'm from Vernon. I'm like Mount Vernon, New York?
BC.
He's like, nah, Vernon, BC. I'm just like, nigga, they talk like that out there. And as we like became friends or whatever, he like kind of shed that image. He was just like, listen, man, I was just a fan of Queensbridge rap. I was going through a phase. Like I'm really trying to be an artist.
His transformation in terms of music is crazy.
It's great. He's gone through so many phases, and he's now at the phase where he's most comfortable. But I think him coming out to Toronto, seeing the game out here, because in Vancouver, it's not really that competitive. There's not a lot of guys at that time that were doing it. And he's not even from Vancouver. He was kind of like a transplant from BC into Vancouver, and then he came out to Toronto, and he hung out with like me, Tona, Promise, a whole bunch of guys that were out here. And then he's seen like, wow, the Toronto game is like full of artists that are like on their shit. Like I got to step my game up. And then we did our project together, The Closers, which we did well on iTunes, and we went on our tours and shit like that. And I think it really opened him up to the reality of how he could, change his sound and now also have like a Toronto fan base. So
what's his sound now? Is he still rapping? Because I don't see much rap. I see
it's
him and his
definitely
guitar.
more pop right now. Right now I'm executive producing his next project.
Woo!
So his next project is
Big shout out. Big shout
Make
out.
some noise for that.
And that was something where I like, me and him had a talk at his last show that he had here at Great Hall, and he sold that shit out. And I was just like, yo, bro, like, I'm sitting in the seat, like, of just being in this executive producer mind. Like, I want to be a Dre. Like, let me do your next project. Like, I know you trust me musically. He always, whenever he's dropping a project, he'll send it me at first. And, sometimes I'll have a joint on there. I might not. I might have written something or whatever. But I was just like, yo, bro, let me do your joint. Like, let me do your next joint and let it be. Let's make it rap dominant. And he was just like, yo, I'm with it. So he's been sending me shit that he's been working on. I've been sending him.
I'm excited.
Different youths from Remix that have beats. Like, so next
I'm
project
excited
gonna
for
be a rap. Right?
So let's go away from the music real quick.
Yep.
Well, it's partially about the music as well. But you're African Canadian descent. You're Ghanaian, right?
Yeah, Ghanaian.
Ghanaian.
Full blood, but born in Canada. Yeah.
So, and I also read that you were a child actor at one point.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say necessarily a child actor. I've been in a couple things when I was a youth. I did some commercials and I did Polka Dot Door.
The
We'll
polka
find
dot
that.
door,
We'll find
yo.
that. We'll find it.
The
We'll find
I was
it.
gonna wear my
polka
polka dot
dot
door shirt today
I
too.
can't even find
Door.
that. So if you can find that,
I'm gonna look for it.
Was it?
I
Was
did
it?
one episode of Polka Dot Door from what I remember, and I did a couple commercials. One that I remember was Walmart, and it was for Batman Returns Batman Returns. Yeah, the one with Michelle Pfeiffer and fucking Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
So was your family like an artsy family? Like,
No. My mom was like a rebellious kid that kind of like, she was the catalyst. I guess my dad too, but was a catalyst of, the change in her family where, they all had simple kind of jobs, and she decided to come to Canada. By way of Europe. And then my dad and my mom met here. Right? They both had children in Ghana with different partners and stuff like that. And my dad came here on his own and was driving taxi, and then got my mom into driving taxi. So then when my mom had me, she was driving taxi for a while, and then she stopped and became a stay-at-home mom. Yeah.
So so how important was so who put you into child acting? And
It was my mom.
Your mom?
My mom was like, even though she's not a creative person, like she's creative, like, talking wise, language wise, like she always has funny stuff to say. So
Funny sayings.
If anything, my humor comes from her, because my dad's not funny at all. But like she, my older brother in Ghana, he was always drawing. He was always into rapping and doing stuff like that. Yeah. And me growing up, I always wanted to be like him without even seeing him. Like, I would talk to him maybe on the phone. Like sometimes you had to get a phone card and shit like that. And I'd be talking to my brother. And there was times that, I went to Ghana when I was younger, and I would hang out with him. But he was like a great artist and in terms of like visual artist and a rapper as well. So those are the things when I grew up, I kind of wanted to be like, because it was like, oh, my older brother does this, I want to do that too. So I was heavy into animation. I love drawing. So my mom put me in art school, not art school, but art classes. So I went to regular school, but then I would go to art classes after, like sketching and doing all these kind of things. And then with music, it was like when I started to show a love into music, my mom was always kind of supportive. She's not the typical Ghanaian mom that's very strict. She's very lenient because she was kind of like, grew up kind of like, not necessarily rough. She chose the rebellious life. Yeah. My grandfather was kind of like an army man. Okay. Worked for one of the biggest like gas companies in Ghana. So she kind of just went her own way. So for me to go my own way, she understood it. She was very understanding.
So your old man wasn't like, what are you doing in terms of music?
To be honest, my dad didn't, he was at work so much driving taxi, not really, I don't think he really even
understood it.
He really noticed it. He didn't really notice I was really pursuing music until I got older, and my dad left when I was 11. So when we reunited around my early 20s, I think a lot of people in the community had told him yo, your son's on TV, your son's doing this, your son's doing that. And when we reunited, then it was kind of like, oh, yeah, I heard you're doing this. I want to introduce you as an artist in Ghana. And, at that time, it was our relation, we're at this point, we're always trying to mend our relationship because there's a lot of trauma there. Oh, yeah. But,
Is Afrobeats in the future?
Afrobeats is on the next project.
Woo! Make some noise.
Afrobeats is on the next project.
Whose project? Oh, your project.
My project. So that mixtape series that I was telling you about, I'm bringing it back as an album. And it will be released before the end of July. So it's going to keep the same schedule as what I did before. It's going to feature Afrobeats, R&B, hip-hop.
This year?
Drill, all that shit. Yeah, it's coming out this year. Yeah.
How do you feel when you see, I've seen it, when people try to pit dancehall versus Afrobeats, because I've seen a few debates where, I don't know what people are arguing.
Are they really pitting it against each other?
I've seen a few artists.
I feel like Caribbean people like Afrobeats.
Yeah.
They love Afrobeats.
This last Caravana is the first time I heard that much Afrobeats on road. And plus, I've never, the last time I've been on road was 2013. So literally last year, or 2012. So last year was the first time I've been on road in a decade, right? And it was only because my cousins were, my twin brothers on my dad's side, they just moved to Canada. I'm like, you ever heard of Caravana? They're like, nah. So I wanted to take them and show them, what it is, you know.
Yeah,
One of
yeah.
them got a little bubble up, you know, like just get them acclimatized to the life over here because now they're living here. They lived in Ghana pretty much their whole life, and now they're here. And just hearing like Wizkid, Burna Boy, like Olamide, like just all these like Tiwa Savage, Ira Star, like hearing all this music on road was kind of odd to me because I was just like, wow, I never heard Afro pop music. And that's the thing. It's Afro pop now. It's not really Afro beat. Afro beat is a separate genre, right? Like we call it Afro beats because it's
simplified.
It's simplified, right? But it's really Afro pop, Afro R&B, Afro whatever that we're doing right now. And it's like it's huge. It's big. Like
it's
just
massive,
even seeing it at the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Seeing like fucking Burna Boy, and Rema and all those guys performing, I was just like, wow, that's cool. One, I was just like, damn, these Nigerians got this shit in a lot. Because I got him, but I'm just like, fuck, can we not get our shit?
We need to step our game up.
We got guys. We got Stoneboy. We got Mr. Easy. We got Black Sheriff. We got some guys, but Nigeria,
you're killing it.
Davido, Rema.
But
Burna Boy,
Acura is a more better party city than Lagos.
No, for sure, because you party in Accra and you know you won't die at the end of the night.
Oh no! Oh,
It's the truth. It's the truth. No, it's the truth.
Listen, Lagos is safer than it used to be, but it's like it's Nigeria, fam. It's not safe, dog. It's not safe. It's not safe out there.
Yo, speaking of which,
in Ghana, they have a saying, or at least I don't know if the saying is still there. Like it was a saying when I was there 10 years ago. They're like, yo, niggas don't die. I was just like, oh, okay.
they multiply.
Exactly. So I don't know if it was like they meant it like spiritually or whatever, but I'm like, oh, okay. Because Ghana is a relatively probably the most peaceful place in Africa.
Yeah.
There's corruption in the government. There's a whole bunch of poverty. There's a whole bunch of bullshit. The medical system isn't really that good, but relatively safe in terms of war, turmoil, all that kind of shit. Yeah.
What are the females saying out there? How they looking? Because I gotta go.
Bro,
yo, speaking of which,
you're blessed. You might have a 1-2 wife out there.
Woo!
Oh my God.
Speaking of which, I think there's a tradition. Everybody goes, I think the first week of January or something like that.
Yeah, end of December to the first week of January is like, it's always the return kind of time that they say for black people, because you'll see beer like
SARS,
American celebrities out there and shit like that. Like it's just a time of celebration out there.
Black Mom, we going?
We going.
Yeah?
We going.
You have to.
It'll be the first time. It'll be the first time I go back to Africa.
Oh no,
that's for sure. It's okay. It'll be the first time I go back to Africa, though.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut this whole segment out.
No. Honestly, no. We should go. We should go for sure and document it. We should really go.
Ghana is beautiful, and like I said, I haven't been in 10 years, so I can't.
Well, Rich Kid is coming then. We all going.
I have to go because there's so many changes there. There's Uber there. There's fucking. I heard even Accra is a little bit more Americanized now. There's a lot more American influence.
Oh yeah. A lot of people going back and starting businesses out there and all that stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
Beautiful.
I want you to look at the camera real quick. This is a little segment, funny segment. Yes. I know you're from Ghana, but
what is wrong?
could you please be unbiased?
Yeah, jollof.
Oh my God! I knew he was gonna ask the jollof question.
You're gonna bring up jollof.
Yeah. Listen, look at the camera real quick.
Listen, it's not about what I say. The majority of public fucks with Ghanaian jollof. I've asked fucking 10 people, and 8 out of 10 people went with Ghanaian jollof. Listen,
Jesus, we need to do that scientifically.
I've had good Nigerian jollof. I've had bad Ghanaian jollof. It all depends who makes it. Everybody's going to swear by their mom. Everyone's going to say that their mom makes the best. It's kind of like Italians when they say, yo, my mom makes the best pasta. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, my mom makes the best linguine. De jour, but at the end of the day, Ghana takes the cake for that and soccer.
Whoa!
Shots fired!
Soccer, you guys have it on log 100%. No argue with. No argue with that.
We're usually the last African team in the World Cup, so we have the receipts.
Were you at the Junos?
This year?
Yeah, this year.
Oh, I was definitely there. Nigga, I was on TV.
This guy.
I didn't watch it.
No.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch it.
Obviously, you're black, and why would you watch it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's a fact. We don't watch it.
I know. I don't.
And that's the thing. It's just like, Okay, so I've always had a problem. I have a Juno on my shelf.
You do?
Right?
With Shad.
Rap recording of the year for 2015.
Naturally born
strangers.
Yeah.
Yo, big shout for that, actually. That's a subtle fuck
Thank
vibes.
you.
But I've always had a problem with the Junos and their lack of representation for African American or African Canadian artists, hip hop artists, R&B artists. They've made some strides in years to like start to highlight them. It was cool that they highlighted a hip hop segment because it was 50th anniversary of hip hop. I feel like it's more so pressure. Shout out to Mel Boogie, who actually hooked me up with the job of being the musical director for that hip hop segment. Because without her, you wouldn't have seen no representation.
Mel Boogie, we want you on the podcast.
DJ Mel Boogie.
Sorry for that.
No. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. No. DJ Mel Boogie is one of the biggest supporters for our culture in the spaces that we're not usually occupying. So she sits on, at the time, she sat on the head of the hip hop committee for the Junos, and she really pushed for a performance. They didn't want that. They wanted kind of like just some dancers and some pictures in the back and saying, "Yeah, we're celebrating hip hop's 50th year."
Hold on, they didn't want
What?
They didn't want
Missy Cardi. None.
Mel, I
Wow.
don't think Mel's the head of it anymore, so I don't think it's gonna fall back on her. But like Mel, if I wasn't supposed to release this information, sorry, but
You
I
heard
don't
it here
care.
first.
But like then they didn't really want to feature hip hop in that light. And they've done some things before. I think years before they did the Northern Touch reunion or anniversary where they had all the members on stage and stuff like that. But
Every one of them were on stage?
yeah, I think every one of them were on stage. But like rarely do we ever get a spotlight for hip hop or R&B on the main stage.
So in a way, they still not really fucking with hip hop.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, and a lot of the reason comes from just the economy of it. Like, is there a hip hop economy in Canada?
Canada,
and it's not the biggest. It don't compare to rock or pop, right?
No.
When it comes to Canada or even country.
Yeah.
So I think with them, it's like on the Sunday night show. Why are we going to feature a genre just because you guys want it?
That's fair.
You guys got to make it the biggest, but it's like we're not the dominant.
From a business perspective,
We're not the dominant culture in the country. In America, hip hop is pervasive because black people are on every edge and corner of America, even in places where they're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
You go to whatever ghetto,
Yeah.
there's black people there.
So why do you
Right.
think that? Why do you feel like over in Canada we can't have the same as America? Why do you think we fall?
demographics.
Just what I said, the demographics of the culture, right? Like you go to Alberta, you got to go to a specific smaller area to find, the Jamaicans, the Ethiopians, the Somalians. It's a very small community, right? Most of the black people that are living there are surrounded by a lot of white people that suppress their culture. They can't even really live out the culture the way they want to, unless they're at home, right? So they have to assimilate to. Toronto is different, right? I think where we have the benefit of living in a city where, most of the Jamaicans migrated here. Most of the Africans migrated here. So we can still keep our culture. We can have a Caravana. Africans and we can have an Afrofest. Ghanaians can have like their big summer picnic at Roundtree.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
That's a
where
big- that's a
all
big
the
one.
different tribes are. Like we can do that, and nobody can stop us because there's enough of us. In every other part of Canada, it's not like that. The only other part where it's like black dominated, you could go to Halifax and go to North Preston, where it's a black. It's the historically the first black Canadians, right? Who are descendants of American slaves, right? So it's their demographics don't really reflect how we can make hip hop a dominant culture here.
Yeah.
And that leads into what they're gonna promote, right? Because even in America, they remember hip hop was a trend. They didn't want it was a fad. They didn't want it to be a thing.
Yeah. They didn't think it would last.
Because so many black people started getting into it. It's like, oh, okay, we see dollar signs here, and they found a way to exploit it. And that post you're talking about that I made with the Cardi shit, it's all about exploitation, right? Because the people at the top are the white guys with the money, right, giving it to the black people.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to dominate the next 10 minutes of this interview, okay? If you don't mind, okay?
I'll jump in if I need to.
Okay.
Jump in, please.
So back to the Juno, right? I made a post. I made a post, right? And I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna put on my CBC voice right now.
Oh God, here we go.
For some more siempre. Shout out
And
Alex.
you could talk about it if you want to, but I gotta ask, right?
Yeah.
So my post says Socrates is terribly unappreciated.
Oh yeah.
He didn't get a call by the Junos to celebrate 50 years of hip hop. How do you not call the person that played an instrumental part in the careers of the artists you did call? He is the key component for why Canadians love Canadian hip hop. Okay, that was my post.
And then my reply.
Your reply was Socrates actually wasn't instrumental in their careers, but did provide instrumentals. If you get me, in brackets, Mishimi and Dream Warriors predate Sox and were actually Sox's influence.
Yep.
Okay, obviously I'm not disputing that because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm on the outside, you're on the inside. Would you care to elaborate on that?
Like, listen, man, and it's crazy because before I made that, me and Sox still weren't talking. Me and Sox have just kind of reunited because we're doing a project for King Rain, who passed away.
R.I.P.
King
King
Rain.
Rain.
Starboard artist, part of Brass Monk, great soul, big bro. And me and Sox have reunited, and we talk like almost every other day and just laugh.
He's the most funniest guy, isn't he?
Oh no, he's hilarious.
Yeah,
He's hilarious. Sometimes he needs to stop joking. He jokes too much.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
he
I
sent me.
call him Uncle Scarborough.
Bro, he sent me. I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick. He sent me a text message last night. I'm like, I just don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah.
he gets a little too wild.
Yeah.
I love him.
So here's the thing, man. Sox is my mentor, right? I'll never. I'm so influenced by Socrates before I even knew there was a Canadian rap scene, right? So I would have thought at that time Socrates is a pioneer shit. You understand what I'm saying? Because his instrumentals, the way he went about it, he defined and made like a lane for himself in terms of his production. It sounded similar, but it was always diverse. He would work with rap artists, R&B artists, different artists. He could rap, he could sing, he could play instruments. He was the perfect package of an artist, right? And a producer. And with like a lot of the guys that were on stage, or not a lot of them, mainly Choclair.
Yeah.
Right? Him and Choclair, if you know what the Remix Project is, if you go back, there was a program called Fresh Arts. And Socrates, Choclair, Cardinal, a lot of the guys that you would say are the Circle crew used to go to Fresh Arts, which was a program in Scarborough. And it was also, I guess, helped run, not necessarily run, but mentored by a woman named Motion. Who's
Shout out Motion.
Yeah,
shout out Wendy B. Motion, who's an amazing
Legend.
film and TV producer. I've been in some of her movies and TV shows, but she's also a dope MC.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. But that was the program that helped form them, right? And they were looking up to Maestro, right? And I remember talking to Maestro. He was just like, yo, like, I remember when these guys were coming up, and we had like kind of like a little bit of tension because they kind of looked at me like, yo, we got to take him out the spot, right? Because we got to be there. And with Maestro, he was always looking at it like it's all love, but he felt like a little animosity towards them. So even what we feel today, where young niggas don't really look up to old niggas, or you might be influenced by older niggas, but you don't want to give them their flowers like that because if you look at them as competition, I got to knock you out the spot. That shit been happening.
Yeah.
Right? So with your post, it's not that I wanted to kind of like come on a negative vibe or anything like that. It was just to highlight that nobody really acknowledges Dream Warriors like that. They're the first motherfuckers to go internationally platinum. They went platinum in UK.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's
fair.
euros, nigga. That's pounds, nigga. This is worth just twice as much as our money.
Yeah.
Maybe not back then. Definitely now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Our economy went to shit.
White people love Dream Warriors.
Right? Like Dream Warriors, Wash Your Face in My Sink, Boombastic Jazz Style. Those are tracks that went
Ludi.
big back then.
Yeah.
Right? Ludi.
Yeah.
And, Mishi Me, first artist to get signed to an American label from Canada. Right? Get signed to BDP, fucking KRS-One and them. Maestro, first nigga to kind of like break out with Let Your Backbone Slide. Like, these are guys that I feel like Maestro gets love because the older generation will always keep him up there.
Absolutely.
And, just due to him being my big bro and him putting me on a lot of opportunities, I always see like people still fucking fuck with Maestro and love Maestro. He gets beer gigs.
Yeah.
But like Dream Warriors, not as much. Mishimi, not as much. So it's like when I hear Socrates the pioneer shit, I'm just like, cool. He's a pioneer in my brain of that at that time. But there are people before him that don't get their just due, never been on a big stage, and I wish Sox could be on the big stage. Yeah. If we had more money and more time, Sox would have been there.
Yeah.
I would have put Sox there.
I would even argue he is on the big stage. He was on the big stage because he was on. He was an honorary member of Wu-Tang, essentially. Like he was on every other Redman and he's on Redman and Method Man's first album. Like
I wouldn't say he's an honorary member of Wu-Tang, but Method Man does respect him. Redman is his dog.
Yeah.
He got me on the Redman album.
Yeah.
Right? Like Socrates
So he
got me on the
was
Redman.
Another
he
subtle
was
flex.
he was instrumental in that circumstance.
To me.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
But when we look at the whole 50 years of hip hop, it's not to say that he's not instrumental. Everybody's instrumental to a degree, right? But we had to highlight some of the people that never touched Dream Warriors have never touched a Juno stage. They went platinum and they never touched a Juno stage.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Mishi
wild.
Me, I feel like she has before, but never on a Sunday night. Chaclair had one of the biggest tunes. Let's Ride was one of the biggest tunes and propelled him to platinum.
Yeah.
You know, Cardi also produced that, so him having Cardi on the stage or whatever. And then with Toby, he was a new generation, so we had to feature.
So
from
they
the
had
new
like a
generation.
limited budget, limited amount of time. They
Limited
had
budget.
to get, and with all the people you mentioned, I don't disagree with Cardi, Chaclair, Mishi, Dream Warriors,
Toby.
and Toby for the new generation. And was Havaya there? Was she?
Havaya and Cardi were the hosts.
And they were doing
And
ad-libs.
they were basically breaking down
Okay.
the different generations of hip hop from 80s to 90s to
Got it.
2000s to 2010s and beyond.
Got it.
Big shout
I
out
got
to
it.
Right?
I love
And
that.
then I provided the music that would happen in the background. I chose the tracks that the artist should perform. I had a role in that. And then Gemini, shout out Gemini. She is the one that wrote the script for Havaya and
So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying in terms of the Junos and limited time, limited budget. You could only get so many acts on the stage.
I wanted more.
I
even
do
wanted
feel
to
that
get dancers.
Socrates is like the people's champ when it comes to Canadian hip hop. From what I've heard, talking to people, like his name gets mentioned a lot.
He's my champ.
Yeah.
Personally, he's my champ.
Yeah.
He's the guy that I've always looked at, and because I know the shit he has in his vault. I know the nigga a little too personally.
Yeah.
Personally, where there's times I hate him.
Yeah.
But not hate. It's not real hate. It's
I was
like-
at Cardi's
like-
party.
like-
He annoyed me a little bit, but I still love you. But it was like, yeah, okay.
He was drunk, and he looked like a king that day too. By the way,
Socks can be a little too much, but he's at the end of the day, he's always been real to me.
It's over.
He's always been real to
that's
me.
the main thing.
And that's all I could ask from a mentor.
Okay.
Like we all have faults. I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect.
Yeah.
If perfect is here, I'm in fucking Andromeda galaxy. I'm not. It takes light years to get the perfect for me.
Got
So
it.
I can't judge him. But one thing I will say is he is hands down one of the best musicians in Canadian history.
Make some noise for that.
yeah, straight up.
I'll stand on that, bro.
Yeah,
I'll stand on
listen,
that.
yeah.
And anybody from our area, even like a nigga like Boy Wonder, I know he'll agree with me because he knows what Sox is capable of. Drake will agree with that. That's why Drake had to have Sox on the fucking the Northern All Stars, right?
Yeah.
We haven't asked any Drizzy questions too, and you worked with Drizzy
Yeah,
pre-blow up pitch.
yeah.
I would argue that was a blow up.
No.
I would say it's pre-blow up because it was
Pre-blow
buzz. It was buzz. When I was
Yeah.
working with him, he was buzzing. He was a mixtape artist. Before that, he had the DJ Smalls mixtape, which exposed him to America a bit.
Comeback season was right there.
Comeback season was after he had done the Scream tour.
Yeah.
And the Scream tour, introduced him to a lot of the college audiences, which would be the basis of where he would kind of start and then blow up from there.
Was Brand New on Comeback?
Brand New was on Comeback.
Did you produce
I
it?
didn't produce it.
That's
That
how it
was
went
40.
viral.
That was
Before
40.
viral was even a word.
It definitely went viral. I remember sitting on the computer, Aubrey beside me, looking at all the people doing covers to Brand New.
Yeah.
Right? This is 2006, 2007.
MySpace.
What was the vibe like when you guys created that?
When we just created what we created, it was cool. Like, you know, Drake a cool nigga. Like, we joke around, you know, talk about things that we've talked to and shit like that. And, you know.
It was a track. Sosa was on it. The name escapes me. What's the name?
Easy to Please.
Easy to Please.
Yeah.
And I was doing the DVD thing.
Yep.
And my boy, shout out Diamond when we're doing DVDs. Mm-hmm. He's like, yo, have you heard of this dude named Drake? He's the Degrassi kid. And at the time, I think the song that was really killing flow was City Is Mine.
City Is Mine, yeah. It was first Do What You Do, and then City Is Mine.
Do What You Do, City Is Mine. Yep. And I'm like, hold on. This is the same kid I've been seeing like clips and wheelchair. Like, this is it. Like, he's the rapper? Because I was like, yo, this guy can really spit. So tell me about your first time meeting Drake. What was that? How did that happen?
I feel like whenever I tell this story, people think I'm like,
I have to ask.
I'm trying to be hard or something,
your
but
answer.
like, niggas don't understand. I was just in a different mindset at the time. And it was just like, yeah, the first time I met Drake, my manager at the time, Courtney, was always telling me about him.
Shout out Courtney Uno.
And yeah, Courtney Uno. And he was just like, yo, we're gonna meet Drake. I'm just like, okay, who's Drake?
Oh no.
But like you say, oh no, but it wasn't.
He wasn't Drake.
Oh, I get
you didn't know who
it.
Drake was at that time. He was just on the Degrassi, right? Like
He was wheelchair. He was literally, not to be disrespectful, wheelchair
I
Jimmy.
never watched Degrassi.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was in my
like
what was I watching them time? I was watching like
we watched the old Degrassi, like when. You probably did watch Degrassi.
I didn't watch the old. I was
he's not 100 years old. Okay.
Jesus, the man said the old Degrassi. Like,
I just turned 36. So I would say I was younger at that time for the old Degrassi, and then for the new Degrassi, it's just like, nigga, I'm watching BT, I'm watching everything hip hop. I'm watching The Wire, my nigga. Like, I'm not watching the old Degrassi.
The old Degrassi's great.
Right? Like, I'm watching Juice DVD. I'm watching I'm watching The Real Toronto. Like, I'm getting fucking horribly influenced by all the rappers you feature. So I'm like, all right, cool, let's link up. And then we met Drake at like, it was the corner of Richmond and Duncan. And there used to be a club called NYC right there. Mm-hmm. I think even before that, I think around that time it was called Union. And we met in front of there. Drake pulls up in a fucking Lex. It was like a 2-seater Lex. Mm-hmm. I was just like, oh shit, I didn't know they made Lexus in 2-seater. At that time, I'm still selling crack. I'm living at Jane and Finch them times. Mm-hmm. I'm living with my cousin. And, you know, I'm just meeting my manager downtown so we can meet this guy. And then possibly go to a club. We ended up going to System Sound Bar, if you don't remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And, like Drake hops out, you know, shakes Courtney's hand. Him and Courtney are talking. I'm looking at him. I'm just, you know, in my mind, I'm just like, I want to rob this nigga. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to, you know, I can rob this nigga. What is he gonna do? You know what I mean?
It was jeweled
That's
up.
going through my head because that was the era I was in, robbing niggas, selling drugs, you know, that kind of shit. You know, just trying to feed myself.
real
And
violation.
Thank God you didn't.
you know, I feel like me and Drake's conversation, we didn't really have a conversation. It was kind of like just a meet and greet kind of thing, and he didn't really like take notice to me or anything like that. Mm-hmm. He was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I kept talking to Courtney because Courtney was the guy that kind of moved around different clubs and knew a lot of different people. So he's all blessed. Slava T.
Slava in the building.
Slava brought his boys through. Come on, grab a seat.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's all good. It's all good.
Damn, Slava's
Bro,
tall,
It's gorilla shit. It's gorilla shit here.
Say what up in a second.
No. How you doing, my G? You good?
Yeah.
So, you know, so that
This is
was
a real
the
podcast.
extent of our first meetup. And I didn't talk to Drake until after he had heard, like, so basically, you know, he got a fucking beef with this rapper from Brampton called Aristo.
Shout out Aristo. We want you on the podcast.
Him and Aristo used to be cool, but they weren't cool. Aristo takes one of my beats, makes a diss track to him. Drake hears the diss track and says, yo, that beat is hard. Like, let's work. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yo, question here. When you saw Drake and you're like thinking in the back of your mind, I want to rob this guy. What did he have on?
He had like a chain. He had like a little gold chain.
Yeah.
Like from what I remember, I don't know if it had a pendant.
Yeah.
But I just remember it was a gold chain. And I remember like, you know, it's like, you don't have to have much for me to rob you. I don't have anything. I don't have
Nigga,
anything.
I like your socks. Hand them
Right?
over.
Like, yo, like
And you know what's cool about that moment?
that do-rag, the do-rag looking
Run that.
Drake wanted to work with the person that produced the track that he's being dissed on.
No, and that's why I say he's always been a strategic.
So
So he's always been petty.
Oh my God.
Marketing at its
You know what I mean? Like
finest.
one thing I can say about him is just very strategic.
Man.
You know, in
It's 'cause he's
hindsight-
light-skinned, he's
in
petty.
Like, and I realized that after the fucking Meek Mill shit, because the Meek Mill shit was just like the back-to-back shit was so solid. I was just like, yo, does he have a marketing team behind this? Like, bro, like just the artwork and the fucking
He came through on that.
you know, the Carter
Yeah, he came hard on
fucking
that.
cover art, and it's like Toronto beating Philly for the world. Like
It was perfect.
it just fit, and then Toronto beat Philly that week.
Yes.
And dropped- like
Crazy.
it made me puke.
Yeah.
How sick it was. I was like, yo, this nigga fucking sick with
Yeah,
it, bro.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I forgive him that.
His marketing team failed him on the Pusha T beef, though.
That wasn't even marketing.
I mean,
You can't, like, and that's the thing, bro. Me and Drake, me and Foy, we've had a conversation about Pusha T. And it's like, I've had a conversation with him about Pusha T when we were praising him and saying, yo, Clips is our favorite group of all time, our favorite duo of all time. And I've had talks with him about, you know, how Pusha T was dissing him, like slightly dissing him on Exodus. And at the end of the day, it's just like,
I feel like that's a
We're-
kink in the legacy. It will always be.
yeah, but you need one of those. Jay has one of those. Jay has it with Nas.
It's
Listen.
Okay, the interview's
I'm
over.
Team Takeover.
Everybody knows
No,
that.
actually, I actually see it.
I'm Team Takeover. But at the end of the day, we can't knock public opinion.
Yeah,
Public
either.
opinion is what.
I'm knocking
If
public
the
opinion.
public opinion was on Takeover side, we'd be like, yeah.
Okay,
but the public opinion side is on Ether. Ether became a fucking
okay,
verb.
okay,
It did.
okay.
It became a verb.
It did. It was
Okay,
fucking
okay,
No
crazy.
one's saying you got takeovered.
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
gonna lie.
But
I'm a
But
Brooklyn
I'm a
bitch.
guy that's I'm Team Takeover. Takeover had facts.
But-
facts over fiction. I'm a facts over fiction nigga.
I agree, but I feel like with the takeover, especially in hindsight, Ether has the edge slightly. But I think when it comes to Duppy Freestyle and the story of Adonis, it's overwhelmingly Pusha T. He takes it hands down. And the things he said was so disrespectful.
But that's the
I feel
thing.
like he should have let that go.
But that's the thing. I feel like Drake was rapping better on
He was.
on
He
Duppy
was.
Freestyle.
He was.
But story of Adidon was so
Disrespectful.
salacious.
Yeah.
It was bad.
And it was like you knew Pusha T could rap better than that, but he just didn't want to. Because
No.
he was just like, yo, I have some stuff to say about you. You engaged me, so yo.
Pusha been wanting to say this.
Let's
He
talk
did.
about it.
Yeah, but-
and it was a fucking, it was just a real psychological breakdown. Like a psychological breakdown on, oh, you're not a man because of this. You're not black because of this. You like all these kind of things. And it was like, it was hard to deny that. And I know Drake deep down in his heart before all this is a Pusha T fan. So it's like, it makes it even worse with that. But at the end of the day, Drake ain't lost a step. He's only gotten bigger. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like you versus cannabis. Like cannabis
Oh, that's true.
Oh,
ate
yes.
fucking LL Cool J
Yes,
on
he
second round
did.
knockout. But LL Cool J still had LL Cool J's career. And you take those chinks in your armor and you move with them because it's like, at the end of the day, you need that. That's what adversity is, what builds an artist.
You're right.
Right?
But
so
I guess
so
the part,
I feel like Drake had to lose that to understand, like, yo, I have to go harder and also get back in the studio and actually really write these rhymes to combat the ghostwriting allegations, which were, you know, at the end of the day, it's like most of your favorite rappers have writers. Like, bro,
I just
like,
wanted him to
I love
respond.
Jay,
No, but hold on.
I love
But
Jay,
hold on.
like, Young Chris is a thing, bro.
But this is
There was an era. There was a Young Chris era, dog.
Yeah.
And you took Young Chris's flow. I know Young Chris probably wrote some
Jeez.
shit. Maybe not verses, definitely hooks, something. You know what I mean? Like, all of our favorite rappers have had shit written.
You know what I think is going to happen?
Yeah, but not too much on Drake. Let's
No.
move on from Drake.
I'm going to end up on this.
That's too
I
much
think
on
my
Drake.
issue is my issue is that he did not respond to that. But I think there's going to be. Is it a round 2 or a round 3?
Whoa,
I feel like
there was a response, but I don't know if it went.
I feel like he has more to say.
Over our
On
heads.
Dump Your Freestyle, most of that was towards Kanye. And I think the thing that pushed Pusha over the edge was mentioning his fiance.
Well, that's
why
because
Pusha went.
Duppy Freestyle was Drake's way of combating two guys at one time.
Yeah.
But you can't, bro. You got to direct it to the guy that lyrically directed at you. Kanye is not dissing you.
He'll body Kanye. Pusha T's a different
that's
animal.
the thing.
Yeah.
Drake feels like Kanye's the only one on his level. He's like, you're not on my level, Pusha T. You might have influenced me. I might have loved your shit back then, but you're not on my level as the same stature of artist. Only Kanye is, so I have to talk to your boss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the same like what Baca says.
Oh, no.
You know, I want to talk to the second in command.
Oh yeah.
Right? And regardless if Pusha T is the president, he's still the second in command to Ye.
That's fair.
Right? So I understand him talking to Ye, especially because Ye is the one that leaks information.
I feel like we're gonna have a great.
I know.
Back.
Not
Drake,
too
we
much on
want
Drake.
you on the podcast. Baca, we want you on the podcast.
Not too much.
OVO, we want you on the podcast.
I don't know if after this segment, I don't know.
Not too much on Drake. Not too much on Drake.
Nigga don't even do Breakfast Club.
You're 36 years old.
Yep.
You've done
Big
most.
36.
You've
Wait.
done most of
3-6
Oh, same
Mafia.
age as me.
Wait,
God
you're
damn it.
36?
Yeah, 3-6 months.
You're thirty- wait,
Times
you're
5.
36?
Times 5.
Wait,
Listen,
no, wait.
Times
Get
five.
back to your question.
You're 30
So you're
I was
36
gonna
years
say
old.
something
I'm so
good.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I was trying to drop some bombs real quick. You're 36 years old. You've done everything you could. I mean, I would say in terms of.
I haven't done everything.
No, hold on. In Canada, like in terms of like,
No, I could do more in Canada.
you think so?
I could always do more. We could always do more.
Absolutely.
Do you feel pressure to move into another country to make it happen?
No.
You don't feel pressure?
The only pressure I feel is what I put on myself to, be more of a great father, be more of a...
The shit that actually matters.
The shit that actually matters. Like,
Yeah.
So
when all this is done, when life is done, none of this really actually matters.
Understood.
Right? So the pressure is, you put the pressure on yourself to be a better human being, right? Because that is what's going to set you up for life.
Do you not have like any thoughts to yourself like shit? I should be in Atlanta right now because this is where.
If I want to be in Atlanta, I can fly to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Actually, that's an interesting question.
I was in Atlanta like 4 years ago.
The reason why I'm
I could
saying
be
this,
in
the reason why I'm
Atlanta,
saying this,
I know where
because
you're
it's like we've talked about this before on the podcast.
Yeah.
There's no actual infrastructure in Canada. Like there's like you can't go to you can't go.
The infrastructure is fucking faulty.
Okay.
There is an infrastructure, but does it work for us as urban artists, that create hip hop, R&B? Most of the time it doesn't. Right? But there is an infrastructure. It's just not the infrastructure that benefits us.
Okay.
Right? And it doesn't exploit us. Infrastructure is when it comes to black people, especially in America, is all about exploitation. It's not about we when we look at it from our view, looking at America, we look at it like, all these black people get money, but they're doing it because they're being exploited. Okay. Right? Exploitation is the main reason why.
But it's transactional, right? Because the exploitation is making artists millionaires, right?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a few that's millionaires and billionaires. It's not everybody.
Okay, but
there's a lot of people, like a ton of black people that kind of are the stepping stones for others to get to that level, right? And we exploit pain for money, right? Most of black music is coming from pain. We have to sell our pain, going through the ghetto, living a rough life. Even the women right now, fucking like Cardi B, like, when she was talking about like, she had to rob niggas and shit like that while they were drugged and people were holding it against her. She's selling, that was her pain, right? Most people that don't have to do that won't do that. If you feel that you have to do that, you're in a situation where you don't have no fucking money. So even women are selling their pain. Everybody is selling their pain. All black people are selling their pain in America to get money. And the guys that are profiting off it the most are not people that look like us, right? In Canada, there's not a way to sell that because there's not enough people to buy into that pain. Not enough people care about the pain, right? There's not enough people that look like us in different markets to absorb the pain.
So your suggestion to the artists that may be interested in selling their pain is to go maybe to the States to sell their pain? If making money is the goal.
If I could
go
do
to LA,
if
go
I
to
could do
Atlanta.
anything, it would be like, see, the thing is, man, people hate on Lizzo, but like I can't even hate on Lizzo, bro. She doesn't sell pain.
She sells her body.
She sells positivity, fam.
Yeah,
And
like,
Yeah, she does.
she sells positivity, and that's the one few thing. Like even Beyonce sells pain. Her own Lemonade is all about fucking getting cheated on, nigga.
Yeah.
Fucking 444 is all about I fucking cheated and I'm a piece of shit. Like
that's a reach.
That's nigga, 440. The track 444 is him apologizing.
I know. So I think
I'm just taking it back to the biggest artist sell pain. Even Drake will always try to find a way to make you feel like he's the underdog, even though he's the richest nigga in the game.
Yeah.
Because we sell pain, and a bitch like Lizzo, don't mean to call her a bitch, but just because I had a couple tequila. Bitch like Lizzo, she sells positivity, and that's so fucking rare.
Yeah.
That's why I respect her so much. Fuck,
But don't black people have the power to dictate what's trendy? Like, do we necessarily have to sell pain? Because we're consuming the pain too at the same time, right?
Of course.
But if we create positivity, like we set the trends for what's popping in pop culture. Agreed?
We do.
Is that a fair statement?
We do. But
so if we're no longer consuming pain and we say, yo, we want some of this positive shit, wouldn't the world automatically be like, yo,
how old is hip hop?
50 years?
So when in the we got hip hop, have we decided to change that shit? Nigga, the first influential song was The Message.
Early 90s.
No, but
There was a
what
level of
sells?
consciousness in the late 80s, early 90s in hip hop.
But it's still pain, nigga.
But what sells?
And at a certain,
I think right now it's glorification.
But at a certain era, obviously it makes sense because it's like, in the 80s when they dropped The Message, it makes sense. You got to talk about the issues that are going on in the black community, right?
You're predating. I'm thinking.
I think we're deeming.
But even if we fast forward to now,
if
we fast forward to now, what's Lil Baby selling?
No, but I'm saying that's what I'm saying.
What's Lil Durk selling, nigga? On every Durk track, you're gonna hear trenches at least twice. He's gonna say trenches.
Okay, so there's a level
more than twice.
Okay,
more than
but-
twice.
This is what I'm saying.
Hold on.
Hold on, Brooklyn got something to say real quick.
But a lot of it is glorification. Glorification of community destruction, glorification of murder, glorification of selling drugs, pimping women.
Yeah.
And
that
so
all sounds like pain to me, fam.
But that's what. But at the end of the
when
day,
you're
Yo, hold on. I think Brooklyn got
no, I'm
something to say.
saying at the end of the day, that's what sells, right? It's like
Yeah.
before when they used to say sex sells. So for women, they say sex sells. The more sexy you are, the more you enhance your body, the more attention you get, the more people will listen to you. Let's keep it a buck. Coyle Ray, if you had Coyle Ray in a room and you had Nicki in a room, who would people pay attention to?
But at what point do black people say
more?
enough is enough? Because there's real life consequences
There
to what these
is.
guys are selling.
There is, but at the end of the day, it's
I think we deviated a lot from my question.
No, but I'm saying no, but I'm
Your
saying at
original
the,
question was wait,
Sorry.
you finish.
No, but I'm saying that's what happens. It's like with information too. People are drawn to drama more than actual facts. Like
why we
people
love
rather
movies.
run with whatever than actually sit there and research and say, okay, you know what? This is the truth. People run with whatever people put in the media. People, that's what it is. So at the end of the day, we know what's gonna get the clicks, the likes, the baits, all of that type of shit. That's why people run with whatever, and that's why people do a lot of foolishness. Because at the end of the day, that's what's selling out here.
Okay.
When real shit starts selling and niggas start acting real, then yes, it will sell. But right now, everybody wants to portray a certain way. So that's
right
what-
now, it's spin the block, black murder, kill the ops. I get it.
Yeah.
That sounds like pain to me, nigga. Someone's feeling pain at the end of that. But when Lizzo tells you, you're special, you're special, nigga, who's feeling pain off that?
Lizzo makes the big girls
That's
feel
what I'm
very
saying, nigga.
good about themselves.
Shout out to Lizzo, man.
Lizzo
gotta
allowed
get in the
a
track,
lot
man.
of people to embrace themselves.
The reason why I wanted to, the reason I was alluding, what I was alluding to is like the club circuit in Canada is nothing compared to what's happening in the U.S.
Yeah,
you can if you have the right tour manager, you can easily make $1 million off of touring in a year.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
My thing is, these guys in Canada, they're not touching anywhere near that majority of the time.
Yeah.
You know
What's the demographic of Canada?
That's what I'm saying. So
Milky White.
well, if you see the California circuit, the California circuit, the South Cal, it's all white people.
Hold on.
It's all white people. It's all white people in California.
Mercules is killing it. Dax is killing it.
That's right.
Sunreal's killing it. Classified is killing it.
You named 3 white people.
Except for Dax. Except for Dax. Except for Dax.
I said Dax, and he's Nigerian.
He's Nigerian, and he makes money from touring.
A.R. Paisley's bubbling. What is he?
He brown.
He's Indian.
So you want black
Literally,
names? You want
more
black
than
names?
half of the people
You
you
want
name are
black
BIPOC.
Okay. YG. He's bubbling.
YG?
YG. WHY.
Oh,
No, but no. But my thing is,
black.
it's at the club.
Name,
The concert circuit in Canada is
Give me a
trash
quiz. I wanna
compared
do
to
a
the
quiz.
US. I think the majority of the money that for artists, I think the majority of the money comes from touring.
Listen,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
there's a reason why a guy like YG or maybe Pressa
can I
or
please
these
have
guys
some?
can do good looking tours is because they're part of a new generation that is beyond. Like Toronto rap is its own fucking, what can I say?
Just
it's
say genre,
its own
category.
it's its own trend.
Yeah.
Because not only is it, do they like maybe the music, but they like the politics of it. There's politics that are involved,
The street
that,
politics,
and that they're aware of, right? It's not that they're just listening to YG because YG. They know it's Wash Gang, nigga. Like they know about the Wash Gang. They know about the beefs with downtown niggas. Like they know that shit.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if you go to YouTube, there's fucking channels.
There's
dedicated to
documentaries.
breaking it down.
Breaking it
just
down.
like there was with Chirac.
Crazy, dude.
The
You're
war
right,
on
you're right,
Chirac.
you're right.
There's shit like that in Toronto.
You're right, you're
right.
right.
So people from around Canada that have no kind of identifier to American culture can at least say, "Oh, in Canada, that shit is happening." There's even shit happening with Surrey niggas. Like there's Surrey fucking gangsters beefing and shit and shooting shit
Yep.
up. Surrey's a fucking can be a war zone.
Bro,
nigga.
I've seen all those
The
ones
brown
you're
niggas
talking about.
shooting each other
I've
up.
seen that.
I don't know for what.
No, it's actually
But
no.
they're shooting each other
No,
up.
it's usually for coke. It's usually for coke and gang
Right?
territory.
So it's like the politics is what's leading it.
That's true.
And that's actually what's leading it in music too, which is why you see a lot of fucking even American cats making op rap. Hip hop is what I call it.
Hip hop. We call it ops. We call it op music.
No, it's hip hop.
Yeah, we call it op
Right?
music.
Because it's only about talking about who I smoke, and you're naming it, and there's kids that don't even know who the fuck you're talking about singing that shit. One of the biggest singles to come out of Canada in the last few years is Attachments.
Yeah.
And the hook of it
Yeah.
is talking about Rexdale niggas getting smoked. And people are singing it. People in America are listening to it. Academics is going crazy, like, oh, Attachments is that track. He doesn't know who Sizzlack is.
Yeah.
Oh
Right?
man,
Like,
R.I.P. to Sizzlack.
These are the things that are pervasive in the culture, like that hip hop rap, right? And that's what's making a nigga like YG go on tour. No diss to YG and saying he doesn't make enough good music for people to take it in and want to go on tour and want to support him on tour.
Yeah.
But facts is facts. It's like people like what you're connected to more than connecting with your music.
Got it.
Yo,
And I love the way you laid that out.
And because your music has a good beat and whatever, we will find ways to connect with it
Yeah.
and make it a thing.
But it's like the lifestyle
the-
behind the music.
The lifestyle is real enough for them to want.
Got it.
Rap has always been about what's real. When the old school niggas listen to NWA, it's because of the realness. They really believe they're coming straight out of Compton. They said fuck the police. They were real gangsters. Eazy-E was real legit. Like that's what.
And that's why I'm
That's
so
what-
sensitive to it, because when there is a consequence, it's going to affect a person that looks like me. The consequence is going to lie on the lap of a young black male.
Yeah.
It
Right?
does.
But
Call me old, call me whatever.
Usually.
and that's the beauty
But
of
there's
being white.
real life consequences to it, because there's been a slew of Toronto rap murders in the last 3 years. And when I look at the list, I'm like, yo, this is crazy, the amount of names that are on this list.
And it's
And if you
because
look
they're
at
notable
who
guys.
these people are, they're black men.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're notable guys.
Let's get some positive things going on.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a
That's
producer.
fair.
You're a producer.
Yeah.
Please look in this camera. We're trying to make a viral moment. Tell us your top 5 artists you want to work with, or you'd like to work
Five
with
artists.
in Toronto.
In Toronto.
Yeah,
it's
or
Canada.
Canada. Let's say Canada.
Canada.
Sure.
Yeah.
People who are making noise. Whatever you want.
I like I like a kid YSN Fab. I met him the other day.
Ooh, Winnipeg. Is he Winnipeg? Yeah, Winnipeg. He's dope. We want you on the podcast.
YSN Fab. Havaya Mighty, but we might make that soon. Havaya Mighty, like I've known her from time, so you know what I mean. I love the way
Hardest
she's
working
going.
person in the industry.
Huh?
She's the hardest working person.
Oh
in
yeah,
the
no,
industry.
she's dope. Toby, we're gonna make that happen soon, anyways. So
We want you on the podcast.
I like Claremont the second. And I know his older brother, and I've seen Claremont come up.
Claremont the
Claremont the
Oh,
second.
okay,
He's from
okay.
Toronto.
Got
From
it.
Toronto. He's from Weston Road. I would say he's been nominated for a few Junos. He's dope. He's dope. You should take him in. You should take
I
him
will.
in. I don't know who to compare him with, but you should take him in. And then who else? You know what? You said Mercules earlier, or you said Mercules.
Yeah.
I fuck with Mercules. Like we've talked about doing some shit. Me and the manager talked about doing shit.
Mercules, we want you on the podcast.
Pursue that.
I got one question. Well, a bunch, but we're going to have you back. Who's on your Mount Rushmore of producing? It could be Canadian. Usually I frame it as Canadians. Like, who's on your Mount Rushmore for Canadian
If we're
producers?
just talking about production, it's probably going to be all American.
Yeah, that's fine.
If it's Mount Rushmore production and there's only 4 spots, obviously Neptune's got to share a head. Timbo, Dr. Dre, and DJ Premier. If I could have a 5th head or a 5th man,
You can't.
but if I could,
Honorable mention.
it'd be just Blaze. If I could have a 6th man, I'll put my boy Wonder in there.
Nice.
Jeez.
What do you think? Did you hear that track Timbo produced, I guess, via AI?
Yeah, Wonder.
Like.
No, we're gonna say that
See,
for
like,
later.
that's the thing, man. We can't.
We're gonna say that for later.
We always look at Timbo as a futuristic nigga with his beats. We can't fault him if he wants to be futuristic with technology.
Yeah, but the same guy who got mad about the Aaliyah and Drake thing, right? The same guy.
He only got mad because he wasn't involved.
Oh,
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. Yo,
Oh,
we out.
okay.
We're
We're done?
Yeah,
oh
we out.
my God.
No,
that went by
wait.
fast.
We definitely got to
Wait.
have a part 2.
Oh
Definitely.
my God.
We gonna have a part
We're bringing
two.
it out with your one of your.
That is
I think
it.
one of your biggest tracks.
I subscribe it to shadow away the time. I subscribe it to shadow away.
I'm on the run for my life. It seems that everything that you said was
Shout out to
right.
Chaos. Socrates.
Lost my
I
sight.
can make you rich.
Chaos, we want you on the podcast.
Best when you were under the gun.
Please, Chaos. I emailed you like 5 times
No,
now.
I've seen this place before, but it's never been so fun.
All right.
It's
Heard
never
it?
been so fun.
I have like 3 emails that I wrote there.
I've been on the run.
All right, we out.
Put in more work.
Starting to make sense.